So today I'm going to speak about effective product strategy. I think Anupam has spoken very well about how to define the problem space, right? So before we get into understanding how do you build an effective product strategy, it's important to understand what strategy is. I think it's one of the least understood or least focused upon thing in product management. So if you could please move on to the next slide. All right. So what happens typically is people do a lot more tactical things, which they term as strategical things that they're doing. So it's important to understand strategy is about what you will do or what you're about to do. Tactic is how you will do what you plan to do, right? So it's about connecting your vision and the strategy itself. So the why and the what is executed through your tactic, right? Which is how. Now, before we move on to the next slide, I'm going to leave you with some food for thought. There's a reason I left out. So a lot of you must be thinking there's something missing in the slide. So you're right. There is a word missing, which is versus, right? So it's strategy versus tactic. Now, me missing out versus there is a strategy or a tactic is something which I would want to let you think through for what I've done there. So yeah, that would probably help you understand what is strategy, what is tactic, right? Okay, so let's move on to the next slide, please. All right. So here is where this is a very beautiful map, which I got from a Medium article by Roman Pichler. He very beautifully says that there are 4 key steps, right? There is a vision, which is the why of your product or of your company as such. Then there is a product strategy, which defines what of your product. And then there's a product roadmap, which essentially says, how will you attain or achieve what you've defined till now, right? So if you look at what product strategy means, it's about the value proposition you have, right? Which is the market you want to target. What are the standout features, which essentially, if you have competition in that market or in that space, would keep you at a differentiated pedestal as vis-a-vis your competition, right? What are the goals you're targeting? That's very important. Now, roadmap essentially tells you how will you implement the strategy over the next 12 months, 6 months, 3 months. So typically a roadmap would be highly detailed for the next one or 2 months or a quarter probably. It doesn't really make sense to detail things out post more beyond a quarter, because things change, right? Markets change, competition changes, competitors do a lot more things differently, consumers change, right? So you would want to keep it a bit more flexible as to detailing out things after the first quarter of execution, right? With respect to that. So it talks about what are you going to do in the next 1 week, 2 weeks, right? And that's how you prepare your backlogs. So backlogs is more about sprints, 1 week sprint or a 2 week sprint that you're running, right? So now let's move on to the next slide, please. Okay. Now, before we understand how to build an effective strategy, it's important to understand how do you build a strategy in the first place, right? How do you even strategize what you want to do? Then we'll look at how do you make it effective, right? So first, if you want to understand what strategy you want to build, you first have to understand who is your target audience, who are you building this product for, or who are you solutioning for, right? You would know the problem, you would know the vision. So you have these 3 things in your mind. After that, it's important to understand what is the current state. And when I say current state of your company, current state of your product, if it is already in market, current state of the market, current state of the competition, right? You would not know the desired state of your competition for obvious reasons. You would not know the desired state of the economy or the consumer. You would probably know it for a consumer with a pinch of salt, but your vision will help you understand what is the desired state of the product that you are building, right? Once you have these, you would want to have in place the success metrics, which essentially ties to what goals you want to achieve, right? The most important thing is to execute. A lot of people, I think, miss this piece somewhere in trying to build an MVP or trying to build the best product, that they screw up the execution so much that the shipping gets delayed. That is not right. So ship, execute, ship. That's really important from a product standpoint, because once you ship is when you get the feedback from the users or from the market as to how is your product doing, and that is where you validate your assumptions, right? Everything builds on assumptions. Let's move to the next slide, please. All right. Now, how do you make a strategy effective, right? Strategy is not fixed. That is very, very important to understand. The best strategy is a strategy which is continuous, right? So what do you mean by continuous? It's important, like I said previously, you have to understand that it is not you alone working in a silo. There are a lot of things working in tandem, right? So when you say, how do you do continuous strategizing is important to look at. So there are a couple of things, two key things. One is that as a product manager, you have to take some time out every day, block at least 1 hour of your calendar to focused strategic thinking. That's very important. Uh, I do that. I almost block 2 hours of my day every day for just thinking about what strategic decisions can we do next. Is my strategy map being followed or not? Are my tactical decisions being taken in line with what strategy we've built? Is the market in line with what strategy I've built or thought through? If not, you change your strategy, right? And loosely, that's what people call pivoting, right? You have to keep an eye on your competition. So understand how the market is evolving, understand how your competition is evolving. What is your competition doing differently? Your strategy has to keep changing that way if there is a need, and subsequently your tactics keep changing, right? uh, so allocate at least an hour or 2 hour thing every day, or probably 4 5 hours a week to do focused strategic thinking. I think this is highly missing. I've seen this not being done by a lot of product managers. I think this really helps if you start doing this, right? Now, apart from that, how do you make sure that a strategy is being followed? For that, continuous reviews at a cadence really helps. Always make sure that you have a collaborative way of working, right? What that does is when you have a team of developers, your sales team, your marketing team, your product heads, your executive team there, and discussing product strategies with you, you get inputs from a lot of people, right? You get inputs from the sales side, from the development side, from the design side, from the user experience side. Uh, what that does is it exposes you to a lot of viewpoints which you might have missed. It helps you validate your assumptions which you've been working with. It helps you in general reduce the plasticity of your thoughts, right? It increases the elasticity of your thoughts to become more welcoming to, oh yeah, probably I missed this, right? So it helps you do that. And it helps you continuously evolve your strategy. But there is also a problem that if your strategy is evolving every day, then there's fundamentally something wrong with what you strategized, right? So that's not a good strategy to keep changing a strategy every day. That's a very bad strategy, by the way. Okay, let's move on to the next slide, please. So I'm going to leave you with a quote. So Yogi Berra, if some of you follow baseball, he was mid 1940s. He was with the New York Yankees. He was a catcher with the New York Yankees, and this quote, I think, sticks more for product management, strategic thinking and product management than anywhere else. It says, in theory, there is no difference between theory and practice, but in practice there is. So uh, a lot of times what happens is product managers or senior product managers or product leaders, they create a strategy map. It's all beautifully done in Excel with cells filled and boxes made around it, words put into it. But we get embroiled into tactical things a lot on a daily basis, and strategy gets missed. And that is not good from a long-term perspective. So strategy is a long-term play, and tactics is a short-term play, right? And what you write in theory, it's important that you practice that as well. right? So, and that's the reason I think this quote holds more value than anywhere else. So yeah, I hope, I don't know if you've been able to take a lot, but I think, yeah, that's me. So yeah, thank you very much.